According to an Ars Technica story, China's state-owned rocket maker, the China Academy of Launch Vehicle Technology, or CALT, produced a video that has raised a few eyebrows for displaying a virtually identical duplicate of SpaceX's Starship spaceship drawings. As the old adage goes, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. On the exhibit floor of China's National Space Day Symposium in Nanjing, keen onlookers saw some relatively strong flattery flowing the way of SpaceX. So, here's everything we need to know about how China is ripping off SpaceX. Clone of a Starship. In 2017, SpaceX demonstrated their vision for the future, an end-to-end transportation system that could carry you anywhere on the planet in a matter of hours, by rocketing it into near space on board the BFR. 4 years later, that idea of what is now known as the Starship system has advanced significantly, with SpaceX now concentrating on sending the first people to the surface of Mars using the same rocket within the next decade or so. China now wants to be a part of the same idea, according to promotional movies released by China Academy of Launch Vehicle Technology, the country's state-owned rocket manufacturer. The country has a shocking similar ambition, effectively a Starship clone, as Ars Technica writes. China's 6th National Space Day was observed in Nanjing, the capital of one of the country's eastern provinces. Chinese space authorities used the occasion to emphasize the Chang'e 5 mission's recent return of lunar samples, some of which were on exhibit, and unveiled the name Zhurong for China's first Mars rover. The China Academy of Launch Vehicle Technology had a display that highlighted the possibility for suborbital point-to-point transportation. This is a concept in which a vehicle takes off from Earth, travels through suborbital space, and lands halfway around the planet in an hour. Similarities that are startling. China's proposal is very similar to the shiny stainless steel-coated Starship and its associated super heavy rocket. One scene, which shows the rocket landing on a pad in front of a cityscape, is similar to SpaceX's initial 2017 movie demonstrating their BFG concept. The promotional film, which was shot and published in Weibo in China, depicts 2 potential plans for attaining suborbital passenger flights in the next 2 decades. The video is noteworthy, since the initial design looks very similar to SpaceX's Starship spacecraft. It depicts a gigantic vehicle that can take off and land vertically. The idea is remarkable not just for its similarity to Starship in appearance. The vehicle's exterior is gleaming, comparable to Starship's stainless steel construction, and the first and second stages are similarly seamless, but also for its purpose. SpaceX has designed a point-to-point idea for Starship, chiefly pushed as a spacecraft to transport humans to the Moon and Mars. This Earth-to-Earth idea was initially revealed by SpaceX in September 2017. A video from the time touted a suborbital flight duration of about 39 minutes from New York City to Shanghai aboard Starship, as well as the capacity to travel everywhere on Earth in less than an hour. In the Chinese film, the second point-to-point design featured a horizontal takeoff, horizontal landing vehicle that employed an electromagnetic catapult. These technologies are part of China's intentions to build worldwide point-to-point transportation by 2045, which was previously stated. According to the country's long-term planning plans, Chinese business will send freight around the world through the suborbital flight by 2035 and people by 2045. This would not be the first time that SpaceX has influenced the Chinese space program. The country has been following SpaceX since its inception, with a particular interest in its intentions to reuse rocket first stages. According to the book Liftoff, a Chinese surveillance boat was in the little piece of the ocean where the Falcon 1 rocket's first stage was expected to return during the company's very first launch in 2006. In 2019, the Chinese Long March 2C rocket tested grid fins, similar to those employed by the Falcon 9 rocket's first stage to navigate itself through the atmosphere during re-entry. China plans to build a Long March 8 rocket to land on a sea platform like the Falcon 9 booster, while Chinese semi-private companies like Link Space and Galactic Energy appear to be copying SpaceX's launch technology. It's unclear whether China will construct a Starship-like interplanetary transport vehicle. For the time being, China wants to create the Long March 9 rocket, a more traditional super heavy lifter, and a triple-core booster similar to SpaceX's Falcon Heavy rocket, a knockoff of a Starship. Despite the fact that China has previously stated its intentions to become the world leader in point-to-point transportation by 2045, the film's parallels are startling. Not at least because this isn't the first time the country's government has been accused of plagiarizing SpaceX designs. In 2020, the country flew a reusable space capsule that was compared to SpaceX's Crew Dragon design. Though China is now concentrating its efforts on developing the Long March 9 heavy-lift rocket, the country's state-owned rocket firm is definitely taking lessons from SpaceX. It's not surprising that China has appreciated and closely studied what SpaceX has accomplished thus far. China has long revealed many ambitious ambitions that have obviously aspired to at least equal other nations foot for foot in the global space race, alongside the United States, the European Union, Japan, and India. Now, in an odd turn of events, China appears to have taken a personal interest in emulating the achievements of Western nations in space. The outcome was a recent presentation that demonstrated a suborbital Earth-to-Earth rocket, and while many are working on the concept, China has the distinction of creating a rocket that appears identical to a Spitfire. Will China steal its way to victory in the space race? Former NASA Administrator Daniel Goldin recently cautioned that unless the US makes some adjustments, China could soon overtake the United States as the world leader in space research. While the news is alarming, it shouldn't come as a surprise. For years, the Pentagon has warned lawmakers that China is developing a space warfare arsenal that is not only eerily comparable to what they have, but also puts America's space infrastructure at a serious disadvantage. China is attempting to establish control of low Earth orbit in order to destroy the United States on Earth, said Richard Fisher, an expert on China's military affairs at the International Assessment and Strategy Center. Fisher isn't wrong, despite his bluntness. China successfully hacked NASA computers 13 times between 2011 and 2013. As a result, the communist state isn't beyond stealing technology and intellectual property from private American space companies like Elon Musk's SpaceX. In reality, one of China's main goals has been SpaceX. The suspected duplicate of Starship isn't the first time China has allegedly stolen something from SpaceX. Musk has already alleged that China stole software from Tesla, which is a national security issue, because SpaceX also utilizes the same software. Attempts have been made in the past to prohibit China from profiting from its economic relationships with private U.S. space companies. Former Senator Cory Gardner introduced changes to the NASA Authorization Act last year that would have required the Government Accountability Office to investigate NASA contractors for any business links to China and to take any engagement with China into account when awarding contracts. Although Congress did not take up this legislative language last year, it may be worthwhile to revisit and repropose these revisions to safeguard America's national security interests. Regardless of whether Gardner's plan is the greatest method, it is evident that Congress must act. However, one thing is clear: China is strongly influenced by SpaceX technology. So that's it for the recent news of China and its buzzing issue on copying SpaceX. For more insight with tech all around the globe, be sure to like and subscribe to get your tech binge.